Alright, I'm gonna drop the bomb here. Movies cost money. I know. But like, a lot of money. Even small movies. Even movies that promote themselves on not costing any money. Those gems of no-budget independent spirit that get a wide release, cost of film transfer, making all those prints, distributing it, rebuilding their crappy sound mix to theater-ready 5.1, not to mention the cost of all that advertising, talking about how cheap it was. A lot of money. It's no wonder that the business and creative side of things are strange bedfellows. Of course, it's great when an artistically motivated movie comes out, but in the Hollywood blockbuster business, it's kind of an unnecessary bonus. The highest grossing films of all time have overwhelmingly been effects-laden spectacles appealing to wide demographics. Some may also be examples of artistically motivated filmmaking, but subversive cerebral dramas they ain't. It's easy for armchair critics to shake their heads at this trend, but they're not in a position of constantly having to make good on multi-million-dollar investments or be tossed out on their asses. Like Bill Mechanic, who throughout the 90s greenlit massive moneymakers for Fox, including the King of the World itself, but a 6-month period of pricey disappointments was all it took before he got the boot. The guy who greenlit Titanic was fired for greenlighting Fight Club. There's plenty of cases where the results of a business incentive were unanimously bleh. Thanks to a writer's strike, Transformers 2 was pushed into production with an incomplete script, resulting in, well, Transformers 2. In an unfortunately well-intentioned attempt to make the most of creative resources, studios will often run scripts through armies of writers, often muddling the material and drowning unique voices. And then there's, well, I don't like saying it out loud, you know, the F word. Focus group. Which can take a subversive or intriguing concept and thoroughly whitewash it. In summation, democracy doesn't work. But sometimes there's a perfect storm resulting in bizarre circumstances you never even consider from the creative side of things, like in 1992. 13 years before critics got to make jokes about being cold to the Human Torch. Fantastic Four wasn't ready to be filmed, but that was just too bad. They had to film it. The term is ashcan copy, originating in the golden age of comics, a product developed for purely legal reasons to retain a trademark or established date of publication for copyright. A similar practice in television is known as burning off, a low-profile airing of undesirable episodes or pilots as part of a contract. That's not a misedit, by the way. The Seinfeld Chronicles originally aired as a burn-off. In TV, it's usually part of a syndication package or a larger deal. In comics, ashcan copies could be quick and cheap, but in film? Big, expensive film? Well, the rights to a film version of the Fantastic Four were about to go up in flames, and New Constantine wanted to stretch them out. Marvel refused to resell, transparently thinking, boy, I bet in 8 years superheroes will be hot shit. Without the ability to buy back the rights, Constantine had one option: go into production. But here's the ever-loving thing. They were not ready. They didn't have the budget or the talent. Anything undertaken in those circumstances would be doomed from the start. But it was the only way to hold on to the property. So who you gonna call when you suddenly need a movie made super fast and super cheap? No shit, you call Roger Corman, who like a contract killer dragged their $40 million proposed budget into a dark alley and kicked its ass down to $1.4 million, and then, like a contract killer with bad aim, he started shooting for 3 weeks. Now, Constantine didn't use any loopholes to pull out after a day or just make a 10-minute short or something. Whether there was legal obligation to feature length or they thought it would just make a bigger middle finger to Marvel, they went the whole hog, shooting a feature-length script, and then, well, they turned that feature-length middle finger on the people who'd helped them build it. Irony, thy name is fantastic. Unbeknownst to Corman, the director, the actors, and everyone else working on the movie, Constantine never intended to release the film. They didn't want anybody to see it. This is what I mean by saying it was made on completely legal grounds. So, did they tell them before production started? Of course not. They had to make sure it got made. Did they tell them during production? Oh yeah, that would have gone over well. Did they tell them when the shoot wrapped? No? Well, it just seems cruel now, doesn't it? Okay, but at that point, the cast was set to do promotion for the movie at comic conventions and the like, so they finally had to tell them. But they didn't. But they kind of let them promote their little hearts out. They looked like they were having so much fun. The director kept chipping away in post-production after the news hit and Constantine had abandoned all of them, the legal matter settled. There's various rumors about diabolical attempts to squash the finished film, but all we know for sure is now we have a movie made with the best intentions, which was the victim of industry supervillainy. A movie that tries to be bad loses its edge and isn't funny anymore. Good bad movies need to be honest, but Fantastic Four takes it almost too far. It has such a sad history and such a big heart that it almost hurts to make fun of. Watch the all-American family dynamic backed by David and Eric Worth's simple Jurassic Park-esque motif and try not to feel a pang of heartache for these guys.
In a hurry?
Actually, yes, I'm running late. I just came back
home to pick up some notes.
Aren't you coming with us, Reed?
No, Susan, listen, I'm sorry. I can't. I gotta get back to the lab. You okay? Good girl.
You're not gonna miss it, are you?
You know what? I might even see it if I get lucky.
The problem is, taken on its own terms, it's fucking terrible. If you're familiar with the 2005 movie, you will reel at the news that you have seen the superior version. And there's a reason you don't have to feel completely awful for these guys, because once you've gotten a taste of the movie, you'll realize that, and I'm not just being a dick here, this was the best possible thing that could have happened to them. The opening scene presents a repeated issue where the movie has no idea how dramatic or funny it wants to be. They're aiming for that sweet spot of offhanded jokes underscoring serious issues, but they wind up with jarring black and white oscillations. The classroom scene contains important exposition, but delivered like this.
It has long been considered physically impossible. That is, until the discovery of Colossus.
Star students Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom, admitted that would be on your top 3 for witness relocation, are planning to harness the power of Colossus, an infrequent celestial phenomenon with big energy implications. Something unsurprisingly goes wrong and Victor is killed.
His Highness, we must save him.
So his life was fine, he was just a smart grad student, but already with the evil henchman. Yeah, forget it, 10 years later. Reed has spent the last 10 years waiting for another Colossus event so he can try again, but, wait for it, bring his loved ones with him.
Hi, Mrs. Storm.
Into space.
Johnny and Susan go to outer space with us?
Last time, solution, loved ones in space. He even raises the issue.
Ben, this is crazy. What do they know about astrophysics?
So what convinces him to throw caution to the wind? Monkey lust for one Susan Storm, who was like his adopted niece.
Anyone for a ride in a rocket ship? I'll drive. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So without any qualifications, Reed, Johnny Storm, Susan, and Ben Grimm are going to fly an experimental rocket into a dangerous cosmic storm that has already claimed one life. Well, claimed it for evil megalomania anyway. Doom's been busy over the past decade. Same henchman, new palatial estate, and giant goddamn throne room. In the 2005 film, Dr. Doom was the result of the same radiation that mutated our heroes, but here it seems like after science didn't work out for him, his disgruntled career counselor just got fed up and told him to go take over the world or something. This is also the appearance of a secondary villain that seems lifted wholesale from a completely different movie, The Jeweler, or a leprechaun. Usually the explanation would be an altogether too faithful adaptation from the comics, but no dice, The Jeweler was invented for this movie. Doom's plan is to sabotage Reed's mission, but the Jeweler already has his eye on the stabilizing diamond they're going to use to stop this from happening again. So Doom kicks back and pretends he orchestrated the whole thing while the Jeweler switches out the diamond. Another convoluted subplot starts with Ben bumping into a blind artist and shattering her sculpture.
Hey, what?
My statue!
She is literally in love with him from this moment on.
Hey. I'm in love. Uh-huh, great first impression. She likes me, I can tell.
Guys, she's blind, not deaf. But guess who else has the hots for her? The leprechaun! What? Yes! Reed's rocket launches into the Colossus storm, and wouldn't you know it, everything fucks up again! An inscrutable psychedelic sequence settles on the tidiest crash site in the history of space disasters. Ben shows up first, completely unscathed from the fall through Earth's atmosphere and straight into the ground. This turns out to be the norm. One thing that unites the varied powers of the Fantastic Four, none of them would let you survive a fall through the Earth's atmosphere and straight into the ground. Everyone discovers their power in a zany series of coincidences, before mellowing out for the night to wait for rescue. Doom inexplicably knows they're alive, and makes sure his men find them first. We take a side trip to whatever movie the Jeweler is from, as he orders the capture of the blind sculptor.
You will bring me my queen! Queen!
Who is still neurotically obsessed with Ben from their single, unfortunate encounter.
It's okay, I got you. You're safe with me.
Disguised as army personnel, Doom's troops show up to bring Reed and co. in, and Ben finally things out. Held hostage at a medical facility by a wacky doctor, they finally make plans to bust out, leading to their first confrontation with Dr. Doom.
My name is Doom.
We're almost an hour into an hour-and-a-half long superhero movie, and this is the first action scene we've had, a series of hammy bits involving faceless henchmen and fairly uninspired power usage. The four escape to Reed's lab, where he has a revelation about their abilities.
I think it's made us feel that our worst character defects are in fact our greatest strengths.
Oh yeah, man, you got your friend killed and almost killed everyone you loved in the blind pursuit of science, but your real problem? You stretched too fucking much. Ben's outsider subplot is handled with the same awkwardness as in the 2005 version. Shunned by society, storming out on Reed & Co. for no reason, he's led underground to the jeweler, who offers him sanctuary and acceptance. Doom shows up for the diamond, he needs it for a laser, just go with it, and Ben finds out Sculpture Lady is being held captive. Doom takes her and the diamond, and in record time, Ben goes back to Reed. Subplot resolved, we never see the jeweler or his army of freaks again. Doom threatens to destroy New York with his laser, unless they surrender, and so, at an hour and 15 minutes in, they finally do the team thing and go after him. Boom, they've got a jet now. They're quickly captured by Doom, but Reed breaks them out and the last fight ensues, which is, for all intents and purposes, identical to the last one. Things heat up when the laser fires and Johnny has to go after it, doing a full-on flame-on and pretty much turning the movie into Lawnmower Man. Oh, thank goodness that's one of those really slow lasers. And what is Johnny's big plan to stop it exactly? Holy shit! I guess that's how ballsy you get after surviving a fall from outer space. Reed has an inevitable showdown with Doom, which I'll play here in its entirety to highlight its anticlimactic nature.
That's
for trying to kill me. That's for trying to kill my friends. And this is for being a real jerk.
A final scene. Oh, I feel so bad for you guys. You think this is going into theaters. Look at you, you're so happy. Of Susan and Reed's wedding ends on a frankly horrifying image. And that's it for this ill-fated bit of insanity. Goodbye, Reed. May your honeymoon lead you to greener pastures. I don't know, maybe a long run of single episode appearances in TV shows. That sounds nice. And they'll actually go to air. Strangely, most of the cast and crew speak fondly of the movie even now. It may have to do with the small but passionate fan base that sprung up around it. It's the kind of movie that makes you want to root for it, and if the only people you meet are those who think it's an underrated masterpiece, because those with that mindset are the ones who would go to the trouble of seeking it and you out, it's probably easy to get a bit of an ego about it. Maybe they really do think that if it had been released in theaters back in '94, it would have caught on. But I think if you're being objective about it, you have to accept that it would have bombed. For a lighthearted superhero movie, it has very little in the way of action and adventure, not to mention shockingly bad special effects. Here's some other effects-driven movies that came out in '94. In fact, the only thing it really has on the 2005 version, which was a critical if not commercial flop, is Dr. Doom, who feels more like a classic operatic villain despite frequently hilarious reliance on gestures to overcome acting through a mask.
hot tempered, aren't we, Jonathan? Take my advice. Keep your cool. Into this. Look at it. See it. Does it amuse you? When I heard you were to face Colossus again, I knew it would be the fitting instrument of my revenge.
Both movies ignored his canonical origins, but 2005's Doom was neutered into a poorly humanized villain by focusing on his interpersonal relationness and not his bombastic evilness. Well, 1994's Doom had almost zero motivation, but was way more fun to watch. I guess this one came out in a year with a 4 in it, too. That's something. But this wasn't a 60s TV Batman-style adaptation. They really weren't going for camp here. But the reason they get to feel so nostalgic about it is because it's become a commodity. Had it come out in theaters, it would have lasted a short while with minimal attendance and poor reviews before disappearing from the public eye forever. Now they have the classic reverse psychology working for them. They made the movie forbidden, so now people want to see it regardless of quality. There's countless examples of exploitation producers using this tactic. David Friedman, producer of Blood Feast, wrote an injunction against his own movie on obscenity charges to build its reputation. He then had to argue against it in court when it actually went through. So the soulless business side of things is what screwed over Fantastic Four before it had even gone to camera, but in the end, that was its saving grace. Now it's got a second life on the basis of its troubled past. The actors can bemoan the treatment of the film in interviews, but the only reason they even get to be interviewed about it is because of the unique circumstances the movie ended up in. Of course, they were screwed over, and they did not deserve that. They did their absolute best with the material that was never going to amount to anything under even the best release circumstances. But I would hazard that what they got was the best possible outcome. 18 years after this legality of a movie was released, people still talk about it. You think in 2023 anyone's going to be opening up discussion on this?
Let's not fight.
No. Let's.